Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be sharing this piece of artwork and the whole process as it is part of the second and third canvases in the 29 Canvas Challenge. And let me tell you, it was difficult. So there are a lot of different things that went wrong with this painting, but I will be getting into that in just a minute. First, I'm going to go over the products I'm working with in this video, and then towards the end of this video, in the previous 29 Canvas Challenge, I talked about how I was going to count up all of the square inches I was going to be painting and have a number for you in this video. So that's going to be at the end of the video, just so you know. But basically, if you don't know, this challenge is a challenge to have me paint through all 29 of the canvases that I own that have either been unfinished or just not started at all. And the idea is I need to get through these before I can buy new canvases. The materials I'm using for this challenge are both the Liquitex Professional Flow Aid and the Golden Open Thinner with the Golden Open Acrylics that I've used in the previous video for the 29 Canvas Challenge, as well as brushes that I've collected over the years. And of course, I also have these two canvases that are 4 inch by 12 inches, and they are just from AC Moore before they were acquired by Michaels, or just Michaels, and all of these things, or where you could find them, will be listed in the description below. But starting off on this painting, I was like, oh my goodness, the last one went so well. Here's a little clip of what it looked like. And that was a super fun painting to do. I did it basically a la prima, all in one sitting. Well, almost. It did take 2 days, but the Golden Open Acrylics don't fully dry overnight sometimes. So I was still able to get a little bit of blending in between. But yeah, this painting was a little bit different. So just starting off, I was like, I don't want to do just one canvas. Let me see if I can get 2 of these little guys out of the way, play with a little bit of a different proportion, because I have all these 4 by 12 inch canvases and I didn't want to get bored by it. So I figured I could make a diptych, which is basically just 2 canvases together. It's like a triptych, which is 3, and I have some information I'm going to be talking about later because I went all nerd on it. I decided to do these 2 canvases next to each other, and I thought this would be a fabulous idea. I was super excited for the prospect of doing this. However, you see, I didn't go ahead and do any sketches or planning beforehand. So I was like, hey, and this is something I've done in the past. I basically was like, hey, I just want to start painting, and I'll figure it out as I go. It'll be really fun. And I took these canvases right out of the packaging and got to work. Now, this isn't like the end of the world or anything, but it did cause several problems in me making this, which is one of the reasons Struggle Bus is in the thumbnail. This whole project was a struggle bus. First off, because I just took them directly out of the packaging, these canvases are very textured, like most canvases are. And what I have done recently, and I am most adjusted to when painting, is gessoing and sanding my surfaces down. So what this does basically is the gesso will fill in the divots in the texture of the canvas, and you can actually sand the gesso down with finer and finer sandpaper and do a proportion of more water with your gesso for each layer and finer sandpaper. And you can get such a nice, beautiful, smooth canvas. It's like a dream to work on. However, I did not do this with this canvas at all. Or these canvases, there are 2 of them. So one, it was more textured already, which because I wasn't doing an a la prima method like I did with the last painting, which I intentionally picked in part because I didn't want to gesso the canvas ahead of time, I'm using thinner layers. Now the beautiful thing of when I do a la prima is I use thicker layers, so there's more paint. But if you do not do that, and you work slowly, building layer upon layer, if you have a variation in the texture of the surface you're working on, it's going to show. And that's exactly what happened to this sad little canvas painting. Starting off, I have this texture that I'm not a fan of, plus I'm using the Golden Open Acrylics, which in and of themselves, they are thicker. Didn't want to spread as easily, and I basically ended up with canvas texture showing through my painting. On top of that, I didn't do any preliminary sketches or planning. I just knew I wanted to orient the canvases vertically, and that like tall trees and 2 female figures and like fairies and leaves I wanted a part of this. As fun as those ideas are, if you don't go in with any sketches, sometimes things can go wrong and become difficult, and they did. didn't really know what I was doing. So there are multiple points in this where you're gonna see me covering over parts of the painting I did or reworking something, just because I didn't do any preliminary planning, and compositionally I was not prepared for this. For example, there were mushrooms in the lower left and right hand corners of the overall painting. The fairies moved behind and in front of the leaves at various points. I don't know, it's just it was just a little bit of a mess, the whole thing. Let me know if you tend to hop into paintings and just accept the mess that comes out of that, or if you like plan a lot in the beginning, because I've realized I tend to treat little paintings like sketches versus finished pieces of art, but I end up rendering them to become finished pieces of art, and it can be exceedingly frustrating in the middle part when you're going from your very loose sketch into a finished piece of artwork, because oh my goodness, there's a big difference between the two of those things sometimes. So let me know what you usually do in the comments below. But there are good things about this painting. What I did really enjoy were the instances, especially when I took it off of this easel to work on it individually in separate pieces, because oh my goodness, I got so stressed sometimes. Like the faces didn't really come together that much on camera, just because I was having so much difficulty working with the texture on the small space that the faces would be on, and with the thick paint. So I just had a bit of a difficult time. However, some of the things that are good about it, I got to try and paint a different skin tone. This lady on the right has a significantly darker skin tone than mine, which is usually my reference for skin tone, and I really need to branch out. So I'm really glad that I was able to paint her in this painting and practice. I'm really glad these two ladies didn't end up looking exactly like Elsa, because oh my goodness, for a while, I'm saying oh my goodness a lot. For a while, I thought they were just going to look like straight up Elsa copies, and I don't think they do at this point, so that made me very happy. And also, I really enjoyed the dresses they're wearing and just like the little details on them, which was great. Plus, in the end, the fairies were super cute and fun to do. I like that I was able to put personality into them, especially when I was actually designing the thumbnail and some of the, and like the introduction of this. I just really enjoyed just the little tiny parts of this painting where you get to see the fairies and see their personality and just how they're positioned, and it makes me pretty happy. One thing about the composition that I ended up not liking was the fairy that's in the center top of the painting in pink. I don't like that she's so big. I feel like it throws things off a little bit, and that leaf looks a little out of place since there isn't anything really that close besides the two of those. However, it doesn't ruin the painting for me, and I really did enjoy doing this. It actually took me like 2 weeks to complete this just because it was stressing me out. But in the end, once I put it down and stepped back, I can really appreciate the different difficulties I had with this painting and the changes that I needed to make the overall image work. Basically, I do like this painting. It was a struggle bus, but it was really, really fun. So one of the things I wanted to talk about to just pop in here is I did a little bit of looking into diptychs and triptychs, and I do have some preliminary knowledge from college about them. So like a triptych originally was an altarpiece in Western Christian tradition, where it would be a three-pieced hinged display that would go on an altar that usually have saints or like God, Jesus, Virgin Mary, and that would be a religious symbol. You also have a diptych that goes along with that, and the polyptych. And a polyptych is just multiple, and a diptych is two, based upon the tri, poly, and the die. These terms were coined in the past few centuries. First, the diptych was used in the 17th century, then the 18th with the triptych, and then the 19th with the polyptych. And that is according to Google, so you can go ahead and Google that, and that's just the definition they give you. There's no more intense research than I did for Googling that and pulling from preliminary knowledge. Looking into this did make me wonder what diptychs and triptychs were called before these terms were invented back in the Middle Ages. So if you know what they were called, please let me know. Branching off of that, colloquially in art making communities, triptychs and diptychs aren't isolated to altarpieces or paintings, or polyptychs. They can be taken into sculpture or any other form of art. It's just a descriptor to indicate that this is how many pieces are in this piece of artwork. There's also slightly different terms you can use in photography, and there might be in sculpture or something else, but that's my knowledge. If you have any more, please let me know down below. I love learning new things, and just collecting information is a bunch of fun for me. So please let me know. But what I would like to go into right now is we're gonna pop over to my little spreadsheet for the overall 29 canvas challenge. Now, this stuff is a little crazy looking. I did color coordinate each of the columns to make it a little prettier, but basically, let me just pull this up. So basically, my first column is canvases, and I have them listed down to 29. I then have the dimensions, and then I have the front surface area, then I have the side dimensions, like how thick the sides are, and the sides of the surface area of the sides in square inches. Then I have the description and the name of the piece. I haven't named any of them, and then what medium I use. Now, the important part is here at the bottom, because I've used the sum function in sheets to calculate the surfaces in square inches total, which is 14,816 square inches. And then I have the sides in square inches, which is 1,920 inches squared. Now, those two added together is 16,736. That is a lot of square inches. However, that is probably going to change because I do not always do the sides of a piece. Sometimes I leave them blank. That's something I did more towards the beginning of my officially taking painting classes in college, as I wouldn't paint the sides because my professor wouldn't. But I have done it more and more frequently as of late. So at the minimum, I will be painting 14,816 square inches. However, I could be painting up to 16,736 square inches. I will probably add a column in here to indicate if I did or did not paint the sides, and then do a new total box and then an overall total box at the end of this challenge. But for the time being, I can paint up to 16,736 square inches, but I will be painting 14,816 square inches. I'm aware that that's a big range, and you might not be as interested in that as I am, but I just figured it would be fun to know the exact possible total for what I'm going to be painting. So I hope you enjoyed knowing that. If you are interested in seeing what will happen next with my paintings, leave a comment and let me know, especially if you have something you'd like to see me paint. But just in general, if you like this, you didn't like it, you can hit the like button or you can comment below. And if you want to see what's up next, you can go ahead and subscribe. And I really appreciate you watching this, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.